years old and he loves marshmallows on the braai. There's one thing that's like everyone sits and chars the damn thing. So I roast them more than burn them. Some people, it must take the light and it must crisp. So no, it must just be a nice brown, and then you pull the outer layer off, and then you do it again to the next one. And so you slowly by layer eat it. So that's the right way.
No. They're marshmallows.
The heathen such as yourself was with, I'm assuming, you burn the thing to a crisp and then you eat all. No, that's just fine.
Exactly. You burn it, you let it catch fire, you burn it to a crisp, and then you just eat that big, gooey, crispy mess in one shot.
Okay, well, my son will agree with you, so we differ on how we eat marshmallows.
Yeah, well, you've just lost brownie points on how to toast marshmallows, all right?
Well, Colleen says there, I agree with Gareth there. So thanks, Colleen. You've got good taste in marshmallow braai. But so actually, there's a video of it online, and Father's Day did it as well. So my son's favorite is we actually do ice creams. So we take normal cones, but then stuff it full of sort of syrupy, caramelly stuff, marshmallows, M&Ms, whatnot, and then cover that in foil and then melt that. So now you've got molten marshmallows in an ice cream cone, and have that over a braai. Now, but obviously it's
my God, that sounds decadent.
That is yummy. That's really, if you eat two of them, you've got diabetes and off you go.
Listen, Colleen and Audrey, you've got no taste. I'm sorry. Just there is a certain way to use marshmallows, and it's not slow roasting over the fire. It's just blitzing the heat out of them and fabulous. Okay, so Gareth, let's talk about meat instead of marshmallows, okay?
Yes.
Because I don't know if you can braai. If you can't toast a marshmallow, I don't know if you can actually braai. So let's find out. What is your favorite cut? Seeing we know it's not a T-bone.
So yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, if you'd asked me more than 11 years ago, I'd have easily said rump steak. So previously we used to braai 2-3 times a week anyway. We're South African, it happens a lot, like at least once a weekend you'll end up braaiing. And then I'd always take rump steak. So rump steak, nicely matured and done medium rare, and that was literally what I'd eat at 90% of the braais. Now, if you had to ask me for one, so yes, I don't hate on T-bones. I just think they're overrated. But so I do enjoy T-bone. I braai many T-bones, and there's nothing actually wrong with them. I'm just taking the piss earlier. But rump steak. So if I had to go for one cut and one cut only, I'd say rump steak. And one cut that I dislike is probably fillet. So it's just such a meh sort of cut. There's no flavor to
tasteless.
It. Exactly. So unless you're doing something with it, so if you're rolling it up or butterflying it out and stuffing it and doing a sauce, so then it's just a flavorless piece of meat that you in the recipe. So in that case, yes, I've done many fillet recipes, but fillet just on its own is just so nah to me. There's not much to it. But yeah, sorry, the question was like my favorite. And
yes, your favorite. Don't deviate from the question.
Yeah, no, rump steak. So rump steak easily, hands down. It's got enough flavor in it and enough tenderness in it, and it's got to have fat. So, I mean, the scalp chop piece we're doing for dinner has to have fat on it. So all my meat must have a lot of fat on it. And that's probably another reason why I don't like fillet so much.
So what about a point rump?
Say again?
A point rump.
Yes. Yeah. So the overseas, they could a lot of different things. So the tri-tips, picanhas, all comes from sort of the same place of it. It's like I say, tough. So the tougher the muscle is, a brisket is probably your most flavorful. But if you try and braai that, when we do competition cooking, we barbecue smoke. So low and slow. It's like 12, 18 hours. Then we use brisket because the flavor there is just amazing. There's a lot of flavor. So the harder the meat works, the more flavor it has, but the tougher it is. So, and obviously we had to try. And so we have tried to braai a brisket before. That just doesn't work out too well.
Strangely enough, before I became a really good vegetarian, my favorite thing on the braai was chuck. Really thinly sliced chuck on a braai is absolutely delicious.
Yes, so we do a lot of events and like shisanyama style stuff. So chuck is also super flavorful, but it's a tough cut. So, but if you cut it thin enough, and enough spices. And yeah, you wouldn't do that medium rare because it's nice and thin. So you're pretty much overcooking it, but that's a really lacquered and short rib and all of those sort of things. Cut them thin enough, and that is a really, really tasty piece of meat. It's just not a steak like we know steak. So yeah, no, nothing wrong with chuck at all.
Okay, so let's go backwards. Okay, I want to know who you are. So tell me where you're from, where you grew up, where you went to school, and all about your parents.
So yeah, that's fairly boring. Pretoria boy. I was born in Petersburg actually, but moved to Durban briefly. Then my folks split, moved up to Pretoria. Young, I was probably 5, 6. Been in and around Pretoria for most of that, actually all of that. Just various places. I did a stint in Brits of all places. So I was in Brits for a couple of years.
It's okay. I lived in Mafeking, so you're off the hook there.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's not too much happening. So yeah, I've been Pretoria State, ended up studying at Turkey. So ironically enough, I ended up doing computer science. So I'm a IT geek by trade. That's how I got started. And then the whole Braai Boy thing came about while I was still studying. I had a whole lot of other businesses, and well, I actually had a beauty salon as well. We'll backtrack to that later.
A beauty salon. Well, you need to tidy up that little beard there, dude.
Well, hey, it's lockdown. Give us a break. And actually, so we're opening up a new place in the new Hatfield Square. We're recreating Hatfield Square, and one of the places there is a barber. So I've got my own beard wall, and the guy who does my beard wall is opening a barber shop then. So then I'll start looking a lot more presentable more often. But this is the first interview or anything I've had to do in forever. So we haven't shot any videos or anything during lockdown. So yeah, you can let it slide every now and then.
And you can
so
you can always get a meal out of your beard later.
Exactly. Nom, 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 nom. Yeah. So I ended up studying IT and had various businesses. So I've always worked for myself. And then about 6, 7 years ago, actually sold it all off. And I like to say I'm retired. My ex-wife says I'm unemployed. So it depends on who you ask. It's all relative, really. But yeah, so just quit that, and then I've been doing Braai Boy permanently now for the last 6, 7 years. So get to travel the world, get to make my own little TV shows and YouTube series and this and the other. So that's been my life now for the last, like I say, 6, 7 years or so.
How's your cholesterol?
Fantastic, actually. So it improved. So before the whole Braai Boy thing, so obviously you have to go and get tested for life insurances, this and the other. And I'd say 15 odd years ago, went and tested, and you get good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. My good cholesterol is actually a little bit low. And then I started braaiing, and I also thought this and that and the other is going to happen. And I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, I went to do more life insurance tests. And now everything is perfect. So even my good cholesterol got better because of braaiing. And so I'm not really a healthy eater, never have cared too much or watched what I eat or drink. And I ended up losing 20 Ks because of braaiing. So, but the only thing that's really changed now is I don't do any more takeaway. So yes, when you're hungover, you call Uber Eats and get some KFC for a sort of a hangover cure. But otherwise, I have to braai every day. So that's what I eat. We don't do too many takeaways and too much of the junk food stuff anymore. All of it is now my own. And I ended up losing 20 kilograms, and I've stayed the same ever since, for now at least the last 8, 9 years. And those who know me, I'm quite partial to a fair number of drinks. Like I say, all my meat must have lots of fat on it. And braai broodjies galore, so carbs and sugars and everything that they say is bad for you and you mustn't. I eat that by the tons, and the only thing I've cut out on really is processed foods, takeaways. And yeah, I'm actually healthier now than I was before I started this.
Are there any vegetables in this diet of yours?
There are. So I do a fair amount. So, but it's typically like a little side dish thingy. So I'll do like the basics, like a stuffed mushroom, mealies on the braai. And
a stuffed mushroom is not basic. I just, by the way, there's nothing basic about a stuffed mushroom.
Of course there is, man. Well, okay, yes. Well, I don't know how elaborate you go with yours, but it's really just a mushroom, bit of garlic, some flavored cheese, and maybe a bit of pepper and bacon. So
Oh,
and it's not
garlic,
quite
yep.
vegetarian, but so yeah, no, that really is basics. And do stuffed peppers, then a whole pumpkin on a braai and that sort of a thing. But then take all of the pumpkin out, fill it up. And so you can do a lot of veg, but that's never the main feature, if you want to call it that. So I've done a couple of gimmicky videos where we hollowed out a potato and then stuffed that in and then braai that normally.
A raw potato or a baked potato?
Potatoes. Yeah. So do
What?
sweet potatoes like you would do it and honey there. So do a lot of veg, just not typically my veg would be the cheese and onion inside of Braai Boy. So that's the level of veg I typically get to. But no, I got nothing against veg. It's never the main course.
Okay, so let's just go through a bit of comment here. When we were talking about favorite cuts, Kim said a ribeye.
Oh, yes, ribeye is very, very good, but it's not that popular here in South Africa. So we know rump. To be dead honest, yes. Okay, Kim, you're actually right. I'd probably say ribeye is better than rump, but that would be hard for me to say. If I'd known ribeye 20 years ago, if we grew up with it, yes, I'd probably be a bigger ribeye fan than I am rump fan. But yeah, we just don't get enough ribeye, and it's only recent years, last couple of years, that ribeye has become popular. Yeah.
What about those tomahawks? I mean, that's quite a piece of meat there.
Yes, so it's always a lot of fun to sort of braai weird and cool things like that. But I mean, be honest, you're not going to rock up to bring in braai with one of those. It's just going to look silly.
Oh, come on. So, what do you care about looking silly?
No, and you're going to be rude. You're taking up the whole braai, so your mates don't get to have any space in it. So, but no, definitely, the tomahawks are a lot of fun. I just don't do it in my everyday braai. So that's not going to feature too much. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun and it looks cool. Makes great pictures.
Colleen says, Gareth hates on fish. I've begged him to do a fish braai for years and he won't. Why won't you do a fish braai?
Lies.
That's the braai that I could eat. I eat fish.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, she is right there. I'm actually quite a very, very fussy eater. I don't do this, don't do that. So that is why when most of the time, the best way to do steak, olive oil, salt, pepper. That's how I enjoy braai steaks. And I'm not too fond of a lot of stuff. And most of it is condiments. So your mayonnaises, your mustard. So I'll cook with mustard in a recipe. Not too much tomato at all. Asparagus, avos, just you name it. I'm not a big fan. And plain fish. So I love seafood. Do a lot of seafood braais, prawns, crays.
Well, there you go, delicious. Colleen. Seafood braai. Sorry, Gail, not kosher.
Fish. She specifically mentioned fish. And Colleen, are you sure I haven't done that fish braai for you yet? Because yes, I can probably count on my one hand the number of times I've fried fish in the last 11 years. I just don't like the taste of plain fish. Maybe we just did too much fish as a kid, and that orange, horrible, haddocky fish is just really, if I smell that, I'd literally walk out the house. So we ate too much of that as a kid.
Haddock and milk. Really is that how you had, was it mom did it in milk? Haddock and milk with tomatoes?
I don't know what she did, but it was orange and it tasted like fish and it smelled awful. And it's, so yes, I'm not a big fan of fish. And yeah, I'm almost sure I did do a fish for Colleen. So I apologize if I haven't. Then yes, for another 5 years, I'll promise to do you one.
I guess we're having a fish braai at some point in the near future. A nice piece of dorado on the braai is very nice with some really nice lemon butter basting and stuff. Okay, then Thea said, fillet is great. You just don't know how to braai it correctly.
So, no, like I say, so I've actually got, I'd say 3-4 fillet recipes that I've done there on my YouTube channel. And it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just boring. It's plain. So again, so if I do a rump steak, olive oil, salt and pepper, that is going to be delicious. If I do that with a fillet, there's not going to be enough flavor in it. It's just going to be a little bit bland and boring. You've got to do something else to it. So you've got to add to it. You've got to zhoosh it up with a bit of a sauce or a stuffing or something. That's my only, I don't have anything against fillet, but It's just yeah, piece of meat.
Yeah, I feel
In
it
my
is
opinion.
generally boring. It's very tasteless and does need a bit of work, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, then Gail said, what do you do when you can only get kosher meat, which is generally tough?
I've never been faced with that problem, so I don't actually know. So, okay, you can marinate stuff, and then like a bit of lemon juice and stuff will tenderize it.
So
Coke,
Coca-Cola.
Coke will tenderize it as well. There's a lot of tricks you can do, but like I say, generally I don't have that problem, so I've never been faced with it. So yes, but there's many ways of tenderizing meat. I mean, you can even get a little mallet and beat it a bit, but you don't
Pretend it's
want
your
to
husband's head,
necessarily
Gail, and just beat it for a little while so it's nice and soft, okay?
beat your meat till it's
Okay, don't
done
go
and
there,
goes
Gareth.
soft.
This isn't. Listen,
I didn't. You said beat your meat.
I said beat your husband. You said beat your meat. That was not
Oh,
me.
okay. So I heard what I wanted to hear. Okay.
Luckily, we're all adults here, apart from Mark, who's only 22. Right. Let's see. Kim, no. Colleen again. Oh, Gail, that sounds like a start of a joke. Okay. Yeah, well, there we go. Beat your meat, boss. Which type of marshmallow sticks to the best to your beard? You know what? I bought marshmallows today and I got a bit of a shock. The price difference, the big bag of marshmallows, there's a 10 Rand difference between the one brand and the other brand. I was actually quite shocked. As I'm just going to melt them and mix them with Rice Krispies, to me it makes no difference. But
No.
I'd rather pay. I was actually quite shocked at the 10 Rand difference, I must be honest. Anyway, Gareth's definition of vegetables is chicken.
Huh. Okay, so actually not. Okay, so yes, everyone, all the meatheads are a bunch of. We like making the joke. Yes, give me some chicken if I want vegetables. So as we said earlier, I'm really not opposed to vegetables. I do enjoy it, and as a side dish, there's a lot of interesting veggie recipes you can do on the braai, and I've done a couple of them. And yes, I'll also make that joke always. Yes, chicken is a vegetable, but I've quite taken to liking chicken. There's no problem with it. I'm not going to eat just chicken, but once every other week, chicken is lekker. And actually ended up doing a video too as well on that. So the whole beer can chicken thing, everyone's like, and I ended up disproving it. So one of the guys who does the beer bird, the actual chicken stand, mate of mine, got him in to do like blind tasting as well. So I did 3 chickens like that. One with an empty can, one with a can of water, and one with a can of beer. Did all 3 of them exactly the same, kept it very, very simple, just a bit of olive oil, bit of basic spicing, so that's not going to interfere too much. And all the same fires, everything the same. Then asked them I had 4 oaks tasting it, and asked them all to identify, okay, can you tell me which one was the plain can, which one was water, which one was beer, and then obviously which is their favorite. And none of them could identify the beer taste. And science does back me up on it. You can actually go and, I think I might have written a blog post about it. But anyway, so science, there is nothing. That beer is never going to infiltrate the chicken and give it any flavors. The method of standing it up, though, on an empty can is great, because now your thighs get more of the heat sooner, and it's closer to the heat, so it gets more heat, cooks better than the rest. And so that entire chicken is delicious using an empty can. And it's just as juicy and moist, and tastes exactly the same as the one with beer or water. So nobody could tell the difference. They all thought it's great. So the method is great, but drink your beer before you put it into the chicken, else you're just wasting beer. And
one of the nicest chickens, when I used to run the food at the Waverley Sports Club, one of the nicest chickens ever was they had a wood fire pizza oven. And we used to stuff the chicken with cut up lemon, and then just douse it in lemon and oregano and spices and throw it in the pizza oven. Those were the absolute best chickens ever. Really, really amazing.
Yeah, so, and you can do the same thing. So stuff it and do whatever you want to it, and just make sure you put an empty can in there. So like I say, the method is great.
How big do you think the chicken is if you're going to stuff it and put an empty can in it?
Yeah, okay, well, yes, you're not going to stuff it full.
This chicken doesn't work on the corner of Plain and Commissioner, right?
Say again, sorry?
Chicken doesn't work in town on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Kim is waiting for her mushrooms to arrive. Kim, wrong talk. Nobody else knows what you're talking about. I do. Have you seen those mushrooms? You must have a look.
Are you dealing in shrooms?
No, I'm not dealing in shrooms, but there's a guy called Andrew Gould who's just started a business called Mush. And you order a box online and your kit arrives and you just open it up and spray the sides, and you get 2 different kinds of mushrooms. You can choose what you want. And then it'll grow about 4 times. You'll get like 4 harvests from the one box. From each kind.
Yeah, I've checked that. Yes.
They are absolutely amazing. And they're doing all these exotic kinds of mushrooms that you can't really buy commercially. So I think that's such a fabulous business model.
Yeah. No, definitely. And that's picking up now. So a mate of mine grows oyster mushrooms, like sort of small scale commercially. Supplies Pick and Pay and this and the other, and I'm telling him that you can make twice as much because the large corporates obviously squeeze you and margin and this and the other. Say he's doing a hell of a lot but not making much money out of it. Say, well, sell directly in public and do these little mushroom in a bag like those beer kits you get. So he wants to do it, he hasn't yet. But and those oyster mushrooms, that's delicious. So we've actually converted a Weber into basically a deep fryer. So you sealed it, like welded the bottom shut, got gas underneath the bottom, boiling, and then we can do almost said a lot of mushrooms at a time. Deep fry this, and oyster mushrooms end up tasting like meat. So
oyster mushrooms do taste like steak. Yeah,
it's really and well, the texture and the mouthfeel, and when you're eating it, and depending on what flavoring you're putting on it, it's like, whoa, man, this is a meal. So we do like a whole punnet of mushrooms, and you are fairly full after eating that. Obviously, it's very rich. It's deep fried, so you feel like you've eaten a punnet full of deep fried mushrooms. But yeah, the meaty part of a mushroom actually ends up giving you the thinking of that you're eating. Well, fill it if you want to. So it's nice and soft, tender, and all of that. I know that really surprised.
Okay, so moving on. Ask Gareth about braaiing on his cruise. Did you sink a ship?
So actually, so a couple of interesting stories. So having to braai every day. Now, I've traveled a lot. And so, like, when we came back from Vegas, we fly from Vegas, you're going to Atlanta to South Africa, and you're flying for more than 24 hours. So I need to squeeze in some braais every. So I've braaied at far too many airport parking lots, like sneakers. I always travel. When I travel, I've got a little portable braai with me.
And that must be fantastic going through the X-ray machine.
And strangely enough, nothing. I'll remind me about that story, about the different airport stories. So I've got lots of airport stories on braaiing, but this specifically one on the cruise. So we did a cruise of the Mediterranean, and every day we stop off at another country. And so I take my little portable braai, and I go to whichever country. I'll buy a piece of meat, braai it, and it's lekker, and then I've got my braai for the day. Between Tunisia and Spain, however, you spend more than a day on the boat. So we're 2 days at sea.
Oh,
now,
poor thing.
I contacted MCC, and hopefully none of them are, well, it's too late now. I've been there, done that. But so contact them, listen here, I'll sign any indemnity, this, that, or the other. Can I just braai in your kitchen? And I've done all over the world where the hotel concierge will say to me, this is that. And in fact, in Dubai, we were allowed to drink for free as long as I'm braaiing there by their hotel, taking pictures and posting it, eating and drinking for
that's
free.
Amazing.
Now, Dubai booze is expensive. So we, like 10 G&Ts in every night, there's like 3 grams worth of booze for free, purely because I'm braaiing there. But anyway, so the boat was having none of it. I said, well, fuck that. Then I'm cancelling this trip if they won't let me braai. So like, okay, no, I'll rather just take the portable braai with. So waited till like 4 o'clock in the morning, lit the fire, and my girlfriend at the time was like super paranoid. She's watching out for me. She's like, no, fuck, we're finding a helicopter. We'll airlift you, do this, that, and the other, making all sorts of plans to not braai. But there I am on the Mediterranean, like chilling out, smoke traveling off over the back of the boat there. And so, yes, I had to braai on a cruise scaly. So I've done lots of scaly braais because especially London has this weird thing with fire. They're sort of sensitive about it. So they don't let us braai just anywhere. And often I find myself in a place where there's no built-in braai. So then I take my little portable and I braai wherever we want to. And we've been chased by this and that. There's lots and lots of dodgy spot braai stories that I have. But yeah, the cruise was a lot of fun, and airport braai. So the one time at Gatwick, so actually right outside Gatwick Airport, so connecting via Gatwick. Now I'm going to take too long again to get to the next airport. So I'm like, nah, it's cool. Got my portable, and I've got some meat. I'll go and braai in the parking lot somewhere.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Turns out they're busy working in the parking lot, and I can't. And so, like 200 meters in front of the main airport, like, so I'll go around the corner, the main entrance, light the fire, and this is probably the closest I've ever been to braaiing on open flames. So normally you want to wait for the coals and this and the other.
Yeah.
I literally waited. I've stacked that thing full. Now this braai is literally that size. It's a small braai. It can fit maybe 3
Is that one of
brews
those
on
little
it.
barrel jobbies?
No. It's go and look at a Braai is one of the brands. So that's like, it's commercially available as well. But this one I made late for me. But anyway, it's small little. It's a normal charcoal braai. I stacked that thing full of fire lighters, lit it, and as soon as basically, I don't want to be eating paraffin, I put bacon on there. So that I was braaiing bacon on basically open flames. And the cops rock up there and like, what the hell are you doing, buddy? And I'm like, oh, sorry, no, can't I do this here? No, I thought I was away from it, but I'm, like I said, I'm 200 meters away. So playing dumb and stupid, but now bacon is already basically cooked, so I could have eaten it as is, but just wanted it another minute or two, you know. So anyway, chatting, playing stupid, and like, no, you can't. So they don't know, should they shoot me? Should they arrest me? Nobody's ever just made a fire in the airport before, so they really don't know what to do. Anyway, get it off, and I've actually got a photo with him, like posing there. Hey, thanks guys.
Did you offer them something to eat?
No, like, well, there's literally 2 strips of bacon on there, so. Yeah, those are the rules. There must be flames, there must be meat, and I must eat it. So those are what my qualifying criteria are for a braai, really. And so bacon is meat. Yes, it's pre-cured. You could probably eat it raw if you really want to. It just tastes better cooked. And so cook this thing quickly, and I carry water with me as well, so then I can douse the fire, toss the cold coals, all of this. Now, I don't want to just toss the coals out in the bloody airport, so I just pack it away in my bag, I'll wrap it up in plastic, put it into my bag, and now the guy's like, where are you going with that? So I'm like, no, I'm going to fly now. Like, isn't it going to burn? Isn't it going to set the lights? I'm like, no, that's not how charcoal works, buddy. They just literally were totally flabbergasted, like, what the hell is this like doing? So yeah, that was fun. Then yeah, the other fun one was again at an airport. So like I say, my airport braais have been a lot of fun. But the one time at our Tambu, I went the night before, and I was going to take a whole lot of merch over with me to London, and it was short notice. So my mate got it printed, this and yeah, I said, but listen, yeah, I can't get it to you before you leave for the airport, but I'll meet you there. So okay, like I met him, and a couple of drinks too many, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be flying in 15 minutes. Race through off to the gates. No, sorry, your flight's already closed. So now I'm screwed. And so they're like, well, shit, this is now a lot of fun. So we pop over to, I think it's Emperor's. Now, what's the casino called? Emperor's.
Yeah, Emperor's.
Caesars. I don't know if it was Emperor's and then Caesars or Caesar. It doesn't matter. So all-nighter there, we gamble a bit, lacquer, come back. So now I managed to rebook a flight. So now I'm flying at like 11 o'clock. Now it hits me that, okay, this is a problem. I'm going to be flying again too long. I'm not going to make my time. So get the spur manager there at our Tambo and ask him, listen, yeah, I'll buy a burger from your menu. I'm just going to braai it myself. So I've done that a million times. Go to a restaurant, wherever I am. Listen, yeah, I'll buy whatever you have on your menu. I'll pay retail price. I just got to cook the meat myself, and I will make it and do it all myself. And a lot of them think you're on drugs, but 99 out of 100 times they let you do it.
Are you on drugs?
So the spur, you say again?
Are you on drugs?
No.
Just checking.
Yes, whiskey and cigars, yeah. But anyway, and I told him, well, listen, I'm going to braai. I can't go out again. I'm going to braai in the smoking section. And he obviously thought I was joking. So again, same little braai, lit it there, and now it's just myself and there's one other customer. And I said, we're in the smoking section, is extraction. If anyone complains, I'll kill it. But otherwise, I'm braaiing, yeah. And there I am, merrily braaiing my own burger, Spur burger, inside Spur's smoking section. And yeah, so, but yeah, no, so my airport braais have been probably the most interesting, if you want to call it that.
They sound legendary.
Yeah.
So Boss, how's it, Boss? He said, I was at a beer can chicken tasting.
Hey, yes, hey, Boss. Hello, Boss.
Honestly, no difference.
Yeah, so Boss was actually one of our judges for that tasting. So I had 4 guys doing a blind tasting. They couldn't tell. I knew which is which, and they had to try and tell me which one had the beer in it and which one didn't, and none of them could do it. So, but I knew this before I started. I wouldn't do a test that I don't know the result of.
We're back to Gail with the tough chicken. Okay. Have you ever smoked a chicken on a braai? We have a lot of success with that. So moist and delicious.
Yeah. So one of the competition sort of categories is chicken. And then we do smoke it, but it's low and slow. So you're not directly on the coals, it's indirect heat and using this chip, that chip, what. So, but we do chicken pieces, not a whole chicken. So we'll do either thighs or wings or drums. But yeah, no, smoking a chicken is delicious. And again, like anything, if you leave it too long, it's going to dry out. But otherwise, that stuff comes up moist and tender as anything. So no, chicken on a smoker is delicious. You said that one.
Gail,
love it. Yes. So in fact, one of my recipe items, so I smoke chicken for the bistros, and then we do a chicken mayo fat cook, smoked chicken mayo in a fat cook. And people love that. So no, I smoke a lot of chicken. Yeah.
I'm having visions of chicken like in a Rizzler.
Well, actually, that's one of my banners is a smoked pig, and then he's sitting there with a joint smoking, bloodshot eyes, But no, we actually smoked the pig, and yeah, it's not a good work to find.
And there's Colleen again. And talk about the world record.
So, well, actually, which one? So I've done a couple of world records. So like 2 years into the whole braaiing every day thing, contacted Guinness and said, listen, yeah, well, surely this must be a record. I've been braaiing every single day for the last 2 years. Is there a record? How do I apply? What's the process? And there is no such thing. There is no record for it. So they said, well, then they can't create one either, because else they're going to give everybody who's ever cooked every day in their oven for the last 20 years, got to give her a record as well, or him a record. It's not just be overly sexist, yeah. But so every housewife or every...
Not overly sexist, just a little bit sexist. Yeah. Okay.
Just a little bit, yeah. So like give everybody who's cooked every day for their last 20 years, they got to give them a record as well, because I've used the oven. So it wasn't spectacular enough for them. So I was like, okay, cool. What do you have in terms of braaiing? And then the longest braai, continuous braai, was like 20 odd hours. So I approached somebody to sponsor me. They stole the idea and they went and did 20 odd hours themselves. And then a German dude went and did 28 hours. And then I came at Super Sport Park. This was long ago though, shit. Probably like 2012 or so. Went and did 62 hours. So 62 hours non-stop braaiing. And basically the rules are at every single moment of that 62 hours, there must be 5 different meats on the fire. And so I've got 3 fires going, one that's making new coals, one that I'm busy braaiing on, and one that's almost ready. So when that comes off, then I go there. And yeah, so for 62 hours, just continuously braaied. And so I've got that record. And then probably...
What does an event like that cost? I mean,
you keep a lot. So it was that back then I was probably about 350,000. So the other thing is all the meat that you braai must be eaten. So you can't just put 5 little chops or something, and it's 5 different. So I had a rasher and a wors and a this, and then I cut my steak so that thin steaks that it comes out at the same time as the chop and So put it in a tukne breast, so you can put that on there, and all 5 are ready at the same time. But so all the meat must be eaten. But the biggest expense is actually Guinness themselves. So it costs you 5,000 euros just to have the judge come there. And then you've got to pay him all his, it's like first class flights from...
Yeah, his S&T allowance.
UK, and you got to pay his accommodation, and you got to pay this and the other. And he's only there for 8 hours. So you got 4 guys that are watching you that you don't know. So they need to be independent auditor sort of vibes. 2 guys that are timekeeping, and like you start a clock and 62 hours. It's like, okay, I lie. So for every full hour you've bribed, you're allowed a 5-minute break. So then they stop the clock so you can quickly go and pee. And the quickest I can pee is 32 seconds, by the way. So that's so then. And
you write your name in that 32 seconds as well?
No. So it was in South Africa. We don't get snow.
Okay.
But yeah, so yes. So I got the Guinness World Record for that. And then that was about 3 years ago, maybe. We did.
So was it really worth it?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a lot of fun. So I didn't pay it myself. Obviously, you get sponsors on board. You do all of it. No, I wouldn't. That's at the end of it, you're paying 350,000 for a little certificate and a woohoo. And somebody's actually broken it. So somebody else now has done 80 hours. So I've got to go and break that again at some point. So as soon as
have to do 100 hours or something.
Out there listening, but once they're, and you're probably in for about half a bar now. So any sponsors out there with half a bar, let's do it and make a big hoo-ha again.
So if there are any sponsors out there with a half a bar, can you remember me first, okay? Because
there we go. So no, it's definitely not. But the exposure you get. So we had the TV news there, and I remember you do go a little bit dilly. So I was actually looking forward to hallucinating and what.
Says you go a lot dilly. The world record for insanity. BB started seeing non-existent ants at a stage.
Okay, yes. So the ants it's one thing. So now it's like 4 or 5 in the morning or something. So we have, so Boss was actually DJing through the whole lot for us, and we have people coming and going, and other people coming to eat the meat, and everything is lacquer. But between sort of 2 and 6 in the morning, there's not too many people around. So it's just you and your crew trying to keep each other entertained. And at one point I'm sitting there now, like I say, you sleep deprived. You're on like 60 odd hours, and the floor just started crawling. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, Oaks, I've asked you just one thing. Just keep the space clean. I need to move. I'm not feeling like a da-da-da-da. And like, who's been messing food or whatever all over here? Checking all these ants. And it turns out I'm the only one seeing these ants. So, that was a lot of fun. But other than that, I didn't see any pink elephants flying or anything.
There were no shrooms on the braai or anything.
No. And that's the other thing. So no drugs, not even coffee. So I had like 1 cup of coffee in the morning, because otherwise, you can ask any party animal, let's not call them druggies. You can go for a day or 2, but eventually it's going to get tired and then you're going to crash. So when I did the 4 hours, I did 96 hours after that as the team one. Same thing, no drugs. So a lot of water, a lot of spicy food. So I obviously have to eat all the meat I'm braaiing, but a lot of odd stuff that you're eating and drinking. And you also don't want to eat and drink too much, because then you have to take bathroom breaks and then the clock stops for that. And so, no drugs, not even caffeine.
Okay, so how much meat are we talking about that you've got to consume in 60 hours?
No. I don't have to eat all of it. Just somebody must. So we got like old age homes, kiddies homes, and all your mates. So your mates come back from the club at 2, 3 in the morning. You're like, let's go fucking Gareth. And they sit and chow all the meat and that. So no, you don't have to eat it all yourself. That would be impossible, I'm almost sure.
It's just like, hang on a sec. How much meat are you going to eat, dude?
Yeah. No, but it actually wasn't all that much in the end either. I'd say we didn't even measure that, because it was fairly unspectacular, like maybe 100 or 200 kilograms that we end up doing over 3 days. So it's not that much you're doing. Like I say, one little piece of horses. So you're doing, I'd say 500 grams every half an hour. So that's a little bit more than that. But like I say, it's maybe 100 kilos that you're braaiing over that time. And I've done more than that in an hour when you're feeding like 500 people. If you're braaiing 500 portions, so again, not just me on my own, but we're moving more meat than that in half an hour. So the quantity of meat wasn't the spectacular thing. It's just the sort of persistence or perseverance, if you will.
We did a function for Telkom the once, and we had to braai, I think, for 1,000 people. So we had 5 or 6 braais going.
Yeah.
And a lot of meat. I mean, I had to have like a fridge on standby just to store the meat?
Well, I do that a lot. So we do a lot of corporate events and that sort of a thing. And then everybody wants to eat within a certain half an hour. So it's all good and well. I can feed 500-600 people on my own, like at a music festival or something. But then it's starting at 10 in the morning and ending at 10 at night. Then doing 500 portions it's a breeze. You can literally do it on your own. But when all 500 want to eat within that half an hour, that's when things get tricky.
Yeah, it does get a little tricky.
Then you get help involved and all that. But so November, December, we checked. We did 1.5 tons of meat. So that's excluding the pipes and the chocolates and the sides and this and the other. 1.5 tons of meat, just November and December, that crossed myself and my partner in that business grid. So the two of us did that in November and December. So that was pretty cool. But again, we didn't measure it because we didn't think it would be that much until you go and add it up. We're like, hey, you're doing 300-400 portions every day, sometimes twice a day.
It's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Well, I find when I'm exceptionally busy, I buy a hindquarter, and then I can feed a whole lot of people off the hindquarter for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. No, what we typically do is it's like a set menu. So you'll have a steak and a wors, or a chop and a wors, or this, that, and the other. So we've got 500 of the same thing that we're making. So it's almost like a set meal, if you will. So it's not just potjies. I've done potjies. Also catered friends' weddings and that. So then you do potjies, and you'll do a chicken and a beef potjie and this and that, those big number 25 pots.
And dumplings.
That sort of thing. Yeah. So done a bit of that, but yeah, most of the time it's what you have to prep. So you're prepping for 2 days before, and the actual cooking and feeding the people is just a machine process and getting that done.
So Gareth, Braai Boy is a brand, but what is it you actually do?
If you find out, tell me. So it started off as a drunken day. It was never meant to be anything. It was just it was fun. It's a lifestyle right now. So I've started to monetize it. So I've got my BV bistros. And in fact, right now we're opening one in Hatfield. So we're rebuilding the Hatfield Square. Got one in Platteland, and unfortunately my two in Kempton closed down now in COVID, and they'll permanently close down. So I've started not franchising them yet. We'll first own 4 or 5 as company owned, and then start franchising it. So that's how it, but otherwise it's just this degenerate fun oak you want to have at your braai and party, and now and then I'll do a couple of corporate events. But yes, there was no real purpose to it. It was just a thing I did.
Okay. Gail wants to know what your long-term goal is.
You sound like my mother and my ex-wife. So there isn't. So right now reality sets in, and oh shit, okay, you actually do have to make money. You haven't died yet. So I did all right when I sold off the IT businesses, and the guest house and beauty salon. So the beauty salon, there was a lot of, so I'll backtrack to what my actual long-term goals are, because I'll have to make that up. I'll think about that while I'm chatting this. But so a mate and I ended up buying a beauty salon because he wanted to chat up the girl that was manageress. So
funny.
When Virgin took over all the, whatever they were, Planet Fitness or something, they turned it into a Virgin spa. So the salon inside all the Virgins became a Virgin spa. And then it was up for grabs, up for franchising, And he's a bit of a gym bunny, so he was there a lot, and he took a fancy to the manageress there. And he said, well, let's buy this thing. And we ended up doing so. And yeah, they now living in Australia, 3 kids, married, everything was lekker. So it turned out well for him. What 2 dudes know about beauty salons is nothing. And so it wasn't really successful from that point. But yeah, it's achieved the goal of him hooking up and getting married. So it worked out well.
Oh, they actually got married. Well, that's not a bad ending.
Yeah. They married 3 kids, and they're still together, and no, it worked out very, very well for them.
And is there Mrs. Braai Boy around at the moment?
Not at the moment. So there used to be, like I say, ended up divorcing there, and in part, I suppose, to Braai Boy. So I started Braai Boy before we got divorced. But it really is an odd lifestyle. There's a lot of events that I go to, and it's a lot of socializing. And so, she's not really that kind, and she wasn't. The sport of was, I suppose. When we got married, like I say, I was nighty geek. Well, still am, but I just don't do that anymore. But I still fancy it. But yeah, no, the lifestyle doesn't really lend itself to something like that.
Okay. Let me see if there was another comment that I've missed here. Yes, I did. Do you make your own boerewors?
I used to. So the world of boerewors is actually extremely competitive, and you would never thought so, but so there's probably about 90 different boerewors you can choose from. So I had Braai Boy Braai. It was sold in all the spas throughout the country. Well, it was supposed to, but we only ended up doing like 40 or 50 of them because there's 90 different boerewors to choose from. Now you've got to convince them, no, you must have Braai Boy on the shelves and shelf space, and now you're getting into retail parts, and it's a lot more admin than it's worth. So actually, I've got the recipe. So if you want to make it yourself, you can go and buy the spice and make it yourself, and then you've got Braai Boy boerewors, and it's fantastic boerewors, by the way. I suggest.
Oh, just by the way, yes.
Yes. But no, it's not available retail anymore. It's just, and the margins are not negligible because I'm getting a cut of the spice, and the butcher himself has to make the whole thing, and so you end up getting like R3 out of every 30 kilograms of boerewors that are being made, and there's tons and tons of it being moved. So make a couple of bucks, but it's really just too much admin, too much hassle. And so yeah, we aborted that. The same with my spices and my sauces and all that. So I make all my own for personal use and for competitions and all of that. Yes, so then I still make for myself, but I don't actually make it for retail anymore.
Do you think that one of the reasons that there isn't a Mrs. BB, shall we call her at the moment, is because there would be competition in the kitchen?
I'm actually not that good in the kitchen. In fact, I'm not even a chef. So many of the girls I've dated are actually foodies themselves. So I've dated, strangely enough, a lot of foodies, and I enjoy that. So they do the food in the kitchen, and I'll help in the kitchen. So I enjoy food, but I've never been trained in it. I just know what I like and play around with that. So no, it's definitely not a competitive thing on the food side as such, because like I say, I'm not a foodie by any stretch of the imagination. I just like a lot of food, and I enjoy eating food, and I enjoy making it. And so it's more the process of braaiing than the actual recipe. So you'll see a lot of my YouTube videos are weird and odd shit. It's not necessarily, in fact, never gourmet. And even when I do, so I never do corporate events. I never do gourmet catering. It's all sort of home food, South African food, lekker cha.
Boerebointjies.
Yes, that sort of a thing. So no, the competition in the kitchen, and like I say, I actually admire that. So I've got a lot of chefy friends, and I've dated a lot of them as well. So no, definitely that's not an issue.
And do you have a favorite wors personally, besides your own? Okay.
So, well, at the risk of mentioning brands, yes. So
you can mention brands.
Okay, first thing. A lot of people don't know this, but there's a massive difference between boerewors and braaibors. Now, braaibors is a hell of a lot cheaper for the simple reason that there's soya in it and different fillers and this and the other. So we've got like a 5-page document that is law in South Africa. What if you want to put the word boerewors on your label, it has to be X, Y, and Z, and so on. And if we're talking boerewors, I'll get back to my favorite, because I do actually have a favorite. So if I walk into a shop and I look for something, I pick Oma's boerewors. It's a very classic, traditional. Oma's is from Crown, and Oupas is almost exactly the same thing from Delhi Spices. So that's probably my favorite. But braaibors is not boerewors. People stop buying it. That's why it tastes horrible. That's why you start with a bors like that. When you finish braaiing it, because it's got a lot of water in it as well. So the whatever filler they're using absorbs the water and makes it bigger and looks fatter. And when you finish braaiing it, you sort of fuck all left on the braai, and and you can put anything into a braaibors, and typically it's only about 60% meat and the other 40, whereas with boerewors has to be minimum 90%, and it's typically about 91% meat, and then like 1% spice, and the other is water. So you actually do use a lot of water in any wors. But yeah, so that's a pet peeve. People are like, yeah, nee, maar hierdie wors is ook 'n goedkoper. And that's, yes, because it's braai wors, it's not boerewors. And they only got 60% of it is meat. The rest is filler. But yeah, boerewors, if I go in there and I don't know the butchers. So there's a lot of butchers who make specific, why is that funny? What is the joke?
That's what Bas said.
Uh,
Have you ever used your voice as a pickup line?
all the time. And it's fantastic. Telling a girl to put my horse in her mouth and see if it squirts it's a go-to. But you're not going to like it if someone asks you to put his horse in your mouth and see how juicy it is.
Yeah, I think I would prefer it if you started off with something a little more subtle.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will go to finishing school one day and try work on the subtlety. But now, for now, in fact, Boss does a lot of that for me. In fact, he leads for me to go and play that joke. So, Boss, you knew the answer to that, but thanks for bringing it up. No pun intended.
Yeah, and don't vomit afterwards. Yes. Okay, lost my train of thought completely. Thank you both very much. Biltong. My next question was biltong.
Yes.
I have discovered, being such a good vegetarian, you'll notice, that just up the road from me at the Mofo Deli, it's Mofo for Monkey Fountain, not Mofo for the Mofo, but they are called Mofo. He makes the most divine biltong I have come across in Joburg. It's soft, it's got that yellow fat on it, it's delicious.
Yeah.
And then he also does brisket biltong,
Yeah.
which had like fat on both sides. Okay, that's just like too extreme.
Yeah, I'm just going to pop another log in. I'm listening.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Just going to put some more wood on the fire. We're running out of flames here, see. And we don't want our camera to die on us again.
No, we don't want our camera to die on us.
Yeah, biltong.
So tell us about do you make biltong? Do you have a favorite biltong?
So we are probably what you call like biltong yachters. So once a year we'll go hunting and we should be turning to biltong and that. So I'm not a biltong funny, if you want to call it that, but yes, I do love my biltong and it must be yellow fat. Now, interesting story there. The way to get, so you get guys who use AAA grade meat, and then you're only going to get white fat out of that. And it can be soft and juicy and tender and it's everything lacquer, but the C grade meat is actually what makes yellow fat. So you're using an older cow and an inferior quality meat to start with to make the good biltong. And yes, so must have a lot of yellow fat on it, almost so that brown bag that it's in is almost see-through when you get home, that sort of thing. Ooh, my mouth's watering now, but yes.
Yeah, so, I can see the drool in your beard, yeah.
Yum, 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 yum. So I don't make my own biltong that often. I have fooled around with it and played with it a bit. And like I say, when we go hunting once a year, we'll make biltong ourselves. But otherwise, I just buy a lot of biltong. And yeah, that's. But yeah, no, I love biltong. If you don't, you're not South African. Even if you're I know vegetarians. So bacon and biltong is like a freebie. Vegetarians are allowed to eat bacon and biltong. That doesn't count. So
not if you're a Jewish vegetarian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, kosher pork would be tricky, but it's yeah.
We have bacon.
Okay, so the Muslim mate of mine, he's like, oh no, it tastes exactly. So he'll drink and smoke and do everything else, but he doesn't eat pork at all. And so we'll go on holiday and he'll make bacon and like, oh no, it tastes exactly the same as bacon. I'm like, how do you know? If it tastes like bacon, this does not taste like bacon. Don't try and give me that. So that's good. It's not bacon.
What about those flavored dried bacons that they sell next to the biltong?
So, okay, so bacon is a very interesting thing. So when we go and compete in America, so we do a yearly thing there and then we spend like a month there. They've got good bacon.
Who's we?
And then well, actually, that depends. So we've hosted competitions, and then the winners of the competition, we go and represent South Africa when we go and compete there. So it's my mate and myself are typically the captains of the team the whole time, and then we get new and different people with us every year that go over. but the bacon story. So I'll get back to America later because that's actually pretty cool. But they got terrible taste buds. They really don't know what good food
I know
is.
they got no taste in food. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad point. But they introduced me to barbecue and American style smoking food. So give them that. But other than that, they're even terrible at that. They just think we're terrible at that. We like difference. Anyway, the bacon. So I don't know where the original question was, but I really like my bacon.
I can't remember the original question either, just by the way.
No, it's cool. But there they got, so yeah, in South Africa, if you buy a little streaky bacon, there's nothing there. And you got to eat a pack of bacon yourself. I mean, 250 grams really is. In fact, I think they're down to 200 grams now. They're really screwing us in bacon here in South Africa. And it's a sore point for me. So other than Brian, bacon is like very, very close to my heart.
Bye, Kim.
Is it something I said?
No. Kim's just boss, you look a bit like a guru, dude. You just popped up on my screen.
Yeah. So something about like flavor. Yeah, and I've tried a bacon biltong before. No, yes, the same with biltong. You get good.
That's what we were talking about. Those flavored bacons.
Yes.
Yeah, bacon
so
biltong.
I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. I don't think I've seen that.
No, I think it is the bacon biltong. That's a mouthful.
Smokes. Yeah. So they smoke it with this one. Will be using that and that, and you'll get different flavors of what they've done and how they've brined it and how they've made it and all that. And that's lekker. But bacon biltong, and like I said, I don't know if I just had bad ones, but that really wasn't impressive. Yeah, I'll give that a skip.
I think you need to fry it as well, and get that because the fat goes like white. It doesn't look appetizing. Yeah. So maybe throw it in a frying pan and just get the fat juicy, and then
that's called bacon. Why make it biltong then? So what's the point?
Well, that's exactly. Bacon. It's like chicken biltong. The thought actually revolts me.
Yeah. I actually many years ago, I was actually still in primary school. We broke into a friend's house. Her dad was busy doing bokkoms in the garage, and so we broke into the garage to steal biltong. And we're youngsters, man. We're like 10, 11 years old. We get in there and we're stealing all pockets full of biltong and everything. And we get out there and we're like, yay, eating our spoils now. And it's like horrible. It's really, really horrible. And now we've got these pockets and pockets full of our stolen goods. And we just threw it away. So I'm sure Dad wasn't very impressed. But yeah, no, biltong is, game is lekker as well. But the best biltong is beef biltong. You can't beat it.
Okay, the one meat we haven't discussed this evening, and then I'm going to let you go, is lamb.
So I enjoy my lamb scarp choppies. In fact, I'm doing scarp choppies tonight. So that is like a go-to. Love it. It's what? Yeah, we're good.
I am here. I just want to get a book to show you. You can carry on talking. I'm going to do a Gareth and go and do something else. Just keep talking.
A staanrib, like doing a staanrib, nice, slow, and it takes you 2-3 hours to do your rib. Not on the coals, but on the side of the coals. That's lekker. Love that. Scarp choppies, I love it. But a whole leg of lamb or this and the other, and I'm not even entirely sure if I'm a big fan of Karoo lamb. So it's got a very unique taste. And every time somebody goes, oh no, this is so awesome, this is what, half the lamb we eat here is now Karoo lamb. But neither here nor there. So I'm not a massive fan, but not opposed to it. And scarp choppies, definitely love a scarp choppy. But other than that, I don't do too much lamb.
I used to for me, lamb on a spit is the absolute best.
Yeah. So I do a lot of spit braais. Yeah, a lot of lamb on the spit. And then, so for my birthday every year, before Braai Boy even, the rules were you bring a mug and a knife. And then you just eat straight off the spit and kegs of beer. So that was my birthdays, every year. And that became a thing. And this was even, like I said, before Braai Boy. And then you're just chowing straight off the spit. And that is lovely. So I do a lot of spit braais when we cater. And we get to take all the nice crispy skin for us. Again, I'm salivating a bit there. So a lamb spit braai, do that a lot. But lamb itself, like say leg of lamb or this, that, and the other, or lamb recipes, or even lamb potjie. I'd rather do a beef potjie before a lamb potjie, but no. There's very little that beats good lamb spit braai.
Lamb ribs. Lamb ribs are delicious.
Yeah, that's what I say. So lamb ribs. We do the standard rib thing where it's sort of just off the fire. So you make a nice big fire, but it's probably like 20, 30 centimeters away from the flames. And you do that slowly for like 2 hours plus.
And I suppose they're not burnt on the outside.
Yes, no, exactly.
Yeah, like, what is wrong with you?
Super slow. No, there's a difference between crackling. The same like a pork belly. You don't have to burn it to get crackling. So you must have crackling. You can't have belly without crackling. But you don't have to burn it. Why burn it? That's charcoal. We can.
No, but crackling isn't burnt. Crackling is just crispy. It's not burnt. But
yes. So why do you want to burn the lamb ribs then?
Because lamb ribs are delicious. I actually like lamb well done. It's got to be well done to start with. You know, I might not be a vegetarian by the end of this conversation. You know that. So I want to show you a book.
Accomplished.
Yeah, the vegetarian track keeps me on healthy. Okay, so this book, Temples of Barbecue.
Okay.
By a guy I went to school with, in fact, Lance Rose, and he lives in Australia now. It won the best cookbook or best barbecue award the year that it came out, which I think was about 3 years ago. You must try and have a look at it because he did a road trip. He did this road trip through America.
Yeah.
Going from barbecue place to barbecue place, and it's all about, there's a whole thing on smoking and brisket, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous book. So if you get a chance to have a look at one in maybe online, have a look because it's a fabulous book. I mean, there's a lot of it that's not meat. I mean, there's meatloaf with coffee barbecue sauce and stuff like in it.
Yeah. Well, coffee rubs work great on big cuts of meat in the smoker as well.
Yeah, and he does a lot of, I should actually introduce you to him on Facebook because he does a lot of smoking and a lot of brisket and stuff at home in Oz. But it's a fabulous book. So if you ever get a chance to have a look at it, you know, even look at it online. Have you Colleen, we need fish. Have you got a book? Is there a Braai Boy?
I don't. Okay, so everybody's asked me, write a book. But you know what? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry has written recipe books. And like I say, I'm not a chef. But I have created millions and millions of interesting little recipes, but purely by accident sometimes. And what I want to do is almost write a storybook with recipes in between. So like more of a coffee table book sort of a thing where you can browse through, but there must be a story. So I'll tell my life's adventures.
Yeah, and like a memoir.
Where I've gone, this is where this recipe created, and this is what we did that day, and why we did this, and how we did that. And like I say, I've bride something in Maputo. So I also did another boat cruise another time, got off there, walked into their local supermarket, and this, I'm sure if the lights were off, this horse would have been glowing. Now, it's like a bright pink thing that I think had 5% meat in it, so it barely qualified as, yes, you have to buy meat, but that was horrendous. So that sort of thing. So tell these stories about, and then the records and the airport braais and the travels and the people you met, and then throw recipes in between. The thing is, I'm quite lazy, so that sounds like work. So that is my life motto. If it sounds like work, I don't do it. Reality has it, so now I have to start monetizing a thing, and hence the restaurants or kitchens anyway that I'm opening. But one day I'll get to a book. It will be there one day, and I've been telling people one day for the last 10 plus years.
You know the way to do it, and this is the what is kind of going through my head at the moment as well. I started a book, a recipe book, but about 10 years ago. So what I wanted to do was tell stories about the people in my life, the important people, and put a recipe attached to that story. So, for example, my late father was a farmer. He was a dairy farmer, and we had a farm in Olifantsfontein, and we used to sit we used to go pick strawberries and milk cows and all that kind of stuff. So and he used to eat cottage cheese. So 100 years ago, there was that American cottage cheese. So I put together a story about him, and then I put 2 recipes in. And one was a cheesecake with chalva, and the other one was a cottage cheese smoked salmon salad type thing. There's nothing more boring than writing out a recipe. You know, I don't know how
Yes.
you cook, but when I cook, I throw in a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of that. And how do
Yeah.
you measure that? You can't quantify it.
Yeah. So
You've got to
a
treat
lot of it is, like you
children.
say, it's a pinch of this or a dab of that, and throw in some of this. A lot of my videos as well. Now, after we shot the video, and my cameraman's a bit of a degenerate, everyone on set's a degenerate, so we have a lot of fun when we make these videos, and we don't always write down what we do. So you got a general idea that, yes, I'm going to be doing this, but you don't always measure and know everything. Then that's why a lot of my recipes, my videos haven't become printable recipes, and it should have. That was the idea all along, that yes, if you don't want to watch the whole video, you can print it out and make it yourself. But I don't know what I did half the time. Then I've got to watch my own video and maybe edit it out and like, oh shit. Like, so yes, no, I agree. It really isn't fun, and especially if you're not a foodie, pretending to create a recipe. So rather say, listen, yeah, these are the basics, and add to it as you see fit. So I think if I do write a recipe book ever, it'll be a lot in the same guidelines as saying, listen, instead of 5 mils of that and 2 cups of that, a dash of this and a bit of that, and so get more or less, plus minus 2 cups and that sort of a thing. Because yes, that you're right, it is quite tricky.
It's nothing more boring. Barbara,
Yeah.
I've also read a couple of fiction books where there is the recipe. In fact, if you read Sally Andrews' novels, which are absolutely fabulous, all the food that she mentions in the book, she gives you the recipe at the end of the book. And there's some phenomenal recipes in her books. I mean, the one part that in her most recent book, Death on the Limpopo, they drive from the Karoo all the way up to the Zim border, Mapungubwe, and they drive past this like mountain, and she said, "Oh, it looks like a mountain of rusks." You know, just like, so everything she sees is about food, and they're about to die, and the last thought she's having as well, I didn't taste that chocolate cake. You know? So yeah, and those recipes are all in the back of the book. You read the book, the novel is fabulous, and then the recipes are there as well. One way to write a book, if you were too lazy, is to actually record stories and then get somebody to type them up for you. That's probably the way to go. And
again, so that takes money and also somebody involved. And actually, at one stage, Colleen was supposed to manage all my admin and everything for me. Never got around to that. Boss has taken a stab at it. So there can be ways, and there should be. But again, if it sounds like work, I don't want to do it. It's really live life, have fun, and Brian definitely does that. You're definitely going to have a lot of fun. If somebody lights a fire, opens up a drink, light a smoke, sit and chill, chat, that's a given. Now to go and write down everything you're doing and monetizing it, and then you have to do appearances, and so that's another thing. Events, I don't do it if I don't think it's going to be fun for me to physically attend the event. I'm not going to cater it either. So I want to enjoy life, and so yes, I love food and I love eating food, but I must enjoy the company I keep while I'm eating this delicious food as well. So it's a little bit selfish, probably isn't the word, but that's if it's not fun, I don't do it. That really is pretty much the best way to sum it up.
Okay, I'm going to ask you that one question which everybody dreads. What are you wearing? So there we go.
So it's a little bit chilly outside. The fire is keeping me a bit warm, and so yes, my pants. I'm not wearing my pants with the underwear on the outside because I'm getting it cold. So, but yeah, so that's everyone. Yeah, about my suit. So yes, I'm wearing spandex and an apron. That's what I'm wearing. If you must know.
Okay.
But I wear that all the time.
You know what? So maybe that's an image I don't need to end the conversation with. Spandex and an apron.
Of course, yes. I would have shown you my ass if I was wearing my little.
Well, when you come and cook in my kitchen, you just have to wear an apron. You don't have to wear the spandex. All right. Fantastic. I love that idea. Gareth, it's been such a wonderful evening to chat to you. I've had an absolute ball chatting to you and discovering all about you. And I look forward to talking to you again. Tando, will you not eat that, please? Hey, sorry. She's been so well behaved up until now.
I thought it was someone that's in the Zoom call.
That's my dog.
Like, shame, don't judge the people on the call.
No, I cooked chicken for clients and it's sitting cooling, and she's just about to, like, she stands at 800 and then uses her paw to pull it closer. So yeah, very dangerous dog to have around. Anyway, I was busy. No, not now. I was busy thanking you. So thank you. It's been fantastic. What a fun evening chat. I learned a lot. And that's from Kerry. Hello, Kerry. I didn't even know you were here. Thanks for a fun interview. No yellow fat biltong on biltong.
Barbara, you're allowed to have a wrong opinion.
Yeah, Barbara, I'm going to disagree with you. Yellow fat on biltong is absolutely fantastic, even if he doesn't know how to braai marshmallows.
Colleen and Audrey agreed with me, so the three of us will be right and the rest of you can be wrong.
Gail, thanks so much. Glad you joined us. Everybody else, boss, you and I are going to have a conversation on this very format, dude, okay? Fabulous. Yellow fat and biltong. Yes, yellow fat and biltong. Everybody have a fabulous evening. Thank you so much. And the whole week we're talking food, just by the way. Tomorrow we're doing food rescue. So if you want to...
He's got me as the background. That looks like Strad. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Mandy.
Thanks so much.
I'm going to go and actually buy now because I do have to braai for the day and I do need to eat. So,
have fun. Go well.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.